Hey, it's MK, and I am here with the 31 days of cut files with MK and Janet. And today we are doing day 2 of the Stack It Up layering cut files. And this one is a park scene that was created by Janet Frutz. So I'm going to share with you guys all the little bits and pieces for this park scene. So there is lots and lots of little tufts of grass, which I think are super cool, super great for layering inside, tucking in and out of your elements, your pictures, all the little pieces. There's an adorable little squirrel going on here. And then there is a cute little park bench as well. I'm not sure if I'm going to share that with you guys next or if I'm going to share the layers of the tree. So, it's the layers of the tree. So here we have a layer for the tree trunks. So you can paint the tree trunks and be pretty messy with this and not have to worry about it because you're able to add these layers on top and be able to just build this up as much as you want. You can use dimension, you can use texture, you can use any kind of element to color these. You can use markers, pens, you could doodle on them. You can leave them white for a pure white scene. I think that would be nice and elegant for like wedding photos out in the a wedding photo that's out in the daylight. And then here is this adorable little park bench, and all of those little pieces are also layered on top, so you can do double color. You can make the frame a green color and then the bench a brown color, which is what I normally see in some park benches. But for this one, I'm going to pull out my Vicki Boutin watercolors, and I'm going to start with painting my greenery, because then that way if I get a bunch of green on my glass mat, I don't have to worry about the colors bleeding into each other or doing anything like that. So I figured I'm going to color or use the same color family. So I pulled out everything. Now I want the tufts of grass to be different than the treetops. So that way I don't have the same green going all the way throughout my layout. So I'm going to start with the brighter green, not the neon green that I think that's in this collection, or that might be a different one. Nope. In this collection, I am using the brightest green. And then I'm going to try and blend in the darker green at the very bottom, just so that way I can get a little bit of shading going on, like the tufts of grass is shading where it's poked into the ground. It doesn't work very well because, again, this is not watercolor paper. I am just using the photo play paper. It's called My Colors in pure white. And so I'm not really using anything, which means that the color is just going to soak right into the fibers of this paper and not give me any room for mixture or blending unless I work really fast and don't let the paint dry. That is the only way that I'm going to get the mixing of this. And then also too, I really did want to have a little bit of shading and whatnot going on, but I don't want that harsh line that I'm getting, as you can see, as I paint, because my ink is soaking in. Now, when I start to get the colors that I really want, that way, you will definitely know that my paper is completely soaked all the way through, because it's actually staying wet. So that is when I'm getting everything that I want. Now, I'm not too worried about any of my papers ripping because they're quite large blocks or blobs, I should say, of paper working with me. So, and I'm just dipping my paint. So what I'm doing is I'm getting my paint wet and then using my tray to actually take that extra wetness off of my paintbrush, but still keep all that color contained. So that way I can keep dipping into either the paint directly or my paint palette or, my little tray to pick up some paint. It just depends on the concentration of paint that I want to bring in to my treetops and my leaves and things like that. Now, my treetops were looking a little blue to me, so I decided to go ahead and add a little bit of green. I love the modeling that I get from the bottom piece. I could not recreate that anywhere else. So I don't know how I did that, what I did wrong, but I really do love it because now it looks like a treetop that's got full of layers. It actually looks like Marge Simpson's hair, but I'm okay with that. She got a haircut. It's not as tall as Marge Simpson, but that's what it looked like. All right, so for my bench, I'm going to go totally traditional. I'm picking the lighter brown that is in Vicki's watercolor palette, and I wanted it to be a little saturated. It was looking a little orangey. So I wanted to come in a little bit more with a little darker brown. And then I brought in her dark brown for my bench and my bench and my backrest. And I didn't really like how orange, like the two comparisons were. So I brought in a little bit of that brown in the legs and what was going to peek through once I did the layering. So for my base, I needed to clean up my desk. And so all I'm doing basically is wetting my brush and reactivating all of the ink that was already on my brush. Not that you'll see any of this, but it makes me feel good that I didn't waste all of this color. Does that make sense? So I'm just taking my brush, getting it wet in some water, and then dipping the treetops into my glass mat. That's all I'm doing, as well as cleaning up my desk. So, and then I'm just going to wipe off all the extra. And then there wasn't really enough brown for me to work with, but I'm going to try to bring it into my project anyways. So again, same thing. As I drop my paintbrush, yay, hopefully I'll get that covered up. But same thing, I wet the brown, bring it into my project, and I really like this brown that I ended up with. I'm also going to be cleaning off my tray with all that extra green just to bring it in, but I do end up getting my tray dirty again because I didn't want the treetops and the grass below to be the same green, and that's what I was ending up with. So I'm going to end up actually making the bottom half a little bit lighter because I didn't want that. I'm also going back through and trying to clear up or color in all of the white spots. I didn't want any white spots showing just in case I don't get my layers perfect. And so that way, if you do see the background, it will still be green in the background as well. I do have 3 different trees going on here, but I do love how they look. And I didn't really like how light my brown was showing up either. So I'm going to go ahead and take my brush. And again, I'm using my number 14 round brush. That's all this is regular round brush number 14. And using whatever was on my paint palette. So I'm going in very lightly in the actual original color, but not really. And then I don't know, I kind of wanted to build it up and make it look like it was tree trunks, like streaky, like bark. That's what the word is. So here's where I decided that I did not want my ground to match my trees. So I'm going to try and change that color a little bit, try to get it to match the tufts of grass that I created. And then I waited for all of that to dry. I took my bench over into a Tim Holtz wood grain embossing folder and ended up getting this awesome texture out of it. And to bring out that texture, I'm just going to rub my ink. This is walnut stain, and I'm going to go ahead and rub it. And because it is a distress ink, I do want to, rub it in and wipe it off a little bit. And then for my treetops, I used a uber old, it's called a Swiss dot from Cuttlebug. Oh my god. That's something we haven't heard for quite a while. And again, same thing. I'm just going to rub the tops so that way the little dots poke out. I love how this looks, you guys. I love adding texture to all of my layers when I can, and especially if it is appropriate. So like the wood grain. And then here I wanted it to definitely look a little textured. At first I pulled out a leaf pattern that it was, like leaves on top of leaves on top of leaves, but they were the wrong type of leaves. Like they weren't fall leaves or tree leaves. They were more like ground cover leaves. And so I thought, no, I think the Swiss dots will be perfect for this. And so there they are. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and use foam to pop up all the layers just to give my little scene some dimension and some life to it, right? I love, even though it is just minute and very, very subtle, I love seeing the little shadow when you're looking at a layout that has all of these different little layers to it. So if you just glue the pieces on top of each other, that is just fine as well. But this will actually give that park bench a little shadow and that dimension, like you're sitting on this. Like I really want to go and sit on this park bench. It just looks so comfortable. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing with the trees. I'm going to pop them up. I did have to open up a new Stampin' Dimensional package, by the way. These are my favorite dimensions or dimensional elements to use in small spaces. I love the width or the thickness of this particular foam. Now, I do like fun foam. It definitely helps me with larger areas like pictures and things like that for full coverage. But when it comes to smaller spaces like this, I love these dimensionals. For one, they're a hexagon shape, so that it's not like you're dealing with a circle or a square. So you can get that little point in a little area that you might need a puff, like a little bit of foam, but you might not need that little bit of foam. And so I just really like it. Plus, the entire package is usable. Not that the other packages aren't, but the entire package is usable. And it comes in, again, that semi-square, semicircle, hexagonal dimension. And so it fits in areas where I just really felt like I was struggling with circles and squares. I don't know, you guys. I just, these are my favorite. I really, they are my favorite. So I'm going to go ahead and, I'm going to get out of that argument. I'm going to go ahead and put my treetops together, and I am loving how this looks and how it is putting it all together. I love the little trees, the trunks, and how they dried. And all the little treetops, and they're not all the same. They're not all perfect. They've got all that texture and dimension, and they really do look like full trees. So I'm going to go ahead and put my park bench back in, share with you guys what the tufts of grass look like, but I really don't know what I'm doing with the tufts of grass just yet. And here are my two photos. So the lake across the street, I printed these in 5x7 because I really wanted a closer up picture, because I've never seen this before. The lake across the street has a lot of fowl, like lake bird life over there. And ever since the association brought in swans, I very rarely get to see all of the lake life, because during the day, the swans, when they are active and awake, not alive, they're alive, active and awake, they are very territorial, and they are telling the geese off constantly, but the geese are stubborn. And my pelicans and my heron, I don't personally have them. I call them mine because I'm up early enough to see them. The heron is up uber early. Like if it's daylight, he's not there. You have to see them. You have to be there right at sunrise. And they had a baby last year, and so now there's 3 of them. They are beautiful. They're these gorgeous gray herons. They are just, I don't know, magnificent, I guess is the word, or majestic. That's the good word, majestic. And then my flock of pelicans, and I call them mine because I've watched them grow up. I've watched them where we've had 2 show up, then they had babies, and we were all the way up to 14. And then the swans came, and now we don't get to see any of them. I see them in April. The whole flock, the whole herd comes in, lands for a few days, and then they are gone. And then in the early mornings, a little past, you get to see a couple of them show up. So they're close by. They're somewhere. I just don't know where. And then they're gone for the rest of the day. But if you're up early like me and you get to see them, then you get to enjoy other animals other than the stuffy little swans. I like the swans, but they're not as friendly and adventurous as the pelicans and the herons. But here's the deal: is I was walking by what we call Duck Lake or Duck Island, and noticed that there they were together, like the heron and the pelican were together and just hanging out. And I walked across the dam, and there they still were. And then now I'm on the other side of the lake, and they were still just hanging out and chilling. And I was like, oh my stars, this is fabulous. So of course I pulled out my camera and had to take pictures. And it's in the middle of the lake, so I had to zoom in quite a bit. It's pretty fuzzy, but I enjoyed the view. I really did enjoy the fact that, they were together, and I got the pictures of them side by side instead of, oh, here's this bird and oh, here's this bird. And they just visit frequently. But I do know where the herons stay. I do know where their nest is. It's in the overflow pond on the other side of the dam. And so that is where you can go and actually see their nest if you choose to get that close. I do not. But I have seen their nest, and I think it is great that now there are 3 of them. I love watching our animals grow in this little lake because it used to never be like this. In all honesty, but yeah, those swans, they're very territorial. Yeah, okay. Anyways, so I really wanted to document about this because I'm sad. I loved seeing the pelicans. The pelicans were a huge bird, and when they fish in the morning, they are beautiful because they spread their wings out when they go and dive into the water to support them, to like balance themselves out. And when they spread their wings out, you can see that they're not pure white. They actually have black feathers underneath. And it is just a beautiful, beautiful view of you only get to see it when they're fishing because when they are flying, they're so high up in the air, they just look gray. And so you don't get to see all of that. And I miss seeing that. I really do. I miss seeing the pelicans and just that large of a bird in our small little pond, right? I really, and that they were safe enough to come. And, and of course the association had to get rid of them, at which I get it. They brought the swans in to try to get rid of the geese, but the geese are dull and stubborn. I'm not going to lie. They are very stubborn to the point where the swans will chase them out and bite them and get them to, move. And then they'll just go right back. Like it's crazy town. But anyways. All right. So I went through my stash that is actually still on my desk from June. I'm not going to lie. I need to do a serious cleaning. Raise your hand if you guys want to watch me clean off my desk. I get it. Some people like that. Some people don't, but if you guys want to watch me, I have so many things on my desk that I need to put away. I don't mind recording it because it will be quite a funny thing to see. Like, that's been on her desk for a couple months. Yes, it has. All right, so I went through my desk, found all these little elements that I thought would help bring the grass to life and add a little bit of dimension as well to my layout. And I just love how this looks. I have a little bit of journaling spot for me to just basically put on the date and the fact that I just love seeing these 2 birds together. I really do. All right, you guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Don't forget to check out the link that I have down below to see everyone else here on YouTube and what they're doing with their cut files this month, as well as don't forget to check out Janet Fritz's channel, who is Galaxy Girl Creations here on YouTube, because she is my partner in most things YouTube. And also, too, we have 2 links down below for our Facebook groups, where those that are not doing videos are posting what they're doing with their cut files this month. All right, again, thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I will check you guys all later. Bye.